another episode of the Bog and Smog Fantasy Cast, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Smog, sitting over there. How you feeling, bud? How you feeling after Week 9? You win, right? As always, you got the W.
Yeah, there was a couple of bad things happened. The Chiefs were on a bye. That's a big part of my game. Eckler was on a bye. It looks like Devontae Adams was on a bye. That's what it seemed like. So, lost this week, but hopefully bouncing back this upcoming week.
Still sitting in first. And speaking of first place, we're going to see what we have thought. We got Couch out, but we did, the three of us, consolidate, get the power rankings all calculated up. So we're going to figure out, do we feel like you deserve that first place spot? Are you going to make it to the championship? And who else do we think, where do they slot in through the rest of the league and these rankings, and does their record reflect it? So we're going to be digging into that a little bit later in the show. But as always, let's jump into our weekly recap. And we're going to fly through these ones because we got a jam-packed show.
Mm-hmm.
But this was a very exciting week. This was the highest scoring week on the season so far. Kind of like cumulatively. I'm not sure. Joe put up like 170 points. I'm not sure if he outscored you. I think you had the highest score at one point in the year. I'm not sure if he reset that, but overall it was a very high scoring week.
Right, yeah. Sans me, or me and Rasky, our teams both, took a big dump, but everybody else played really well. So, no, he did not supplant the 176.68 in week 5. So,
yeah, he just
close
had a
though.
Measly 174.2.
Yeah, I mean, get out of here with that.
Is pathetic. What's also pathetic is the loser score next to him, 156. Come on, Ethan.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, that's brutal. The second highest score on the week in this mammoth week of scores, 156.9, and he still took the L. And these teams just both went off. And we'll dig into these rosters a little bit later, too, because these two teams I think are actually very similar, and it's going to be fun to talk about a little bit later in the show. But that was a really tough loss for Ethan. Another tough loss, let's just get it out of the way. Let's talk about yours. This was the narrowest one, and that might just because there wasn't a lot of room for error here with this low-scoring game for you. 88 to 80 victory for Jordan over you, to help Jordan climb to 4-4 as you fall to 6-2.
Yeah, it like I said, my squad did not show up this week, but I'm just gonna forget about it. I think I could have won, but I made a few mistakes, I think, in my choices. But yeah, so I think I'll bounce back this week and continue to win.
Yeah, we'll see. But we did have some other winners, as Are You Ready for Some Football scores 153, taking down No Regrets with a 117, and he climbs up to 6-2, tied with you record-wise, and now only sits 6 points behind you in the tiebreaker.
Yeah,
so,
it is. He's creeping up. He's on my ankles.
As they say.
On my ankles, not my tail, not my.
No,
it's on my ankles.
The common turn of phrase, on my ankles.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready for some football, Michael? He's gonna kill me because I always say, "Are you ready for some football?" And that is incorrect.
Oh, that's right. Are you ready?
Are you ready for football? the also common term.
That's right.
So yeah, this one, another high scoring, just massive performance out of the unexpected. Kind of the big one I think you can call out here is that wasn't anticipated was the Deontay Foreman just going off for 31 points. So we'll see if that continues, but a good W for him. Ben got a relatively narrow when you talk about these two teams both scoring high. Ben scoring 149, getting the victory over Tanner's 133 points, and now both of these teams sit at 4-4. And yeah, not a lot to dig into. Both these teams have really good weeks. The thing that probably was kind of Tanner's undoing was Jonathan Taylor going out and that ankle being hurt. And we'll see kind of what that means for him moving forward. But another good win for Ben. And I believe he currently sits at third place in the standings. I got to double check that, but I think
he does sit at third.
And then
just 2 points ahead of you.
Yeah, and I think I'm 1 point ahead of someone who's like right behind
Ethan.
me.
That's right.
Ethan. So yeah,
very
it's
close.
all very, very tight. And then I pulled the victory out against Tyler, 133 to 114. And yeah, it was just kind of a good, solid game. The one thing that I'll call out is Tyler's team is starting to put up some decent scores that I think we all were projecting of once he got past the suspensions from his naughty boys and they get healthy and he can actually put like his full lineup out there. It is a competitive team, so it's good to see that.
Yeah.
But that's the recap. That's week 8. And we are halfway through the season. Let's look forward. But before we get too far into that, let's talk about something that's smelly.
What's
really
what
smelly?
Smells?
Oh, God.
Is it behind me?
It could be. It could be anywhere. It's bungle time. And today, everyone, the bungle is Phil. You bungled so hard. And was it some last minute tinkering? Did you tinker a little too much?
I did last minute tinkering. I had Antonio Gibson, who put up 17 points in my running back slot. But then I thought, I don't know why. Why would I think the running backs for the Rams are any good? Darrell Henderson, I put him in, and he got 4 points. So if I just kept with the Antonio Gibson play, I would have won.
Bungle-rific. For sure. But, hey, can't win them all. On to the next week. And speaking of the next week, let's just talk about what people did to make their teams a little bit better moving forward. And it's been a trend this year. People have been making some trades. People have been moving and shaking, trying to do what they can to stay competitive. And you can see it with the standings that we have. We had 3 trades over this last week. The first one being an exchange between you and Cole. You want to talk about that one?
Yeah. So I can't remember what day I saw this come across the old trade, the old phone here. But he sent me a trade for Darrell Henderson, whom I played. So great. For Calvin Ridley. Now, the outlook on Ridley now looks pretty good. He just got traded to Jacksonville, right? Mm-hmm. Henderson obviously doesn't look fantastic so far this year. But I knew that if one of my running backs goes down, I am in deep stuff, you know? And Calvin Ridley wasn't helping me this year, and I'm in this year. So I did the trade, and I made the bungle, and I think Henderson will be on my bench until he proves that he can play.
Yeah. I mean, I get it, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
the Rams should they should have a good running game. That's like always been the thing. It's just we haven't seen it yet. Maybe they'll figure it out. But I get it.
Right.
I like it. Cole has kind of made it known here a little bit with some of his transactions that he's not forfeiting, he's not punting on the year. There's no suspicion of tanking or anything, but he's making a lot of moves that are very good for his future. And I think Calvin
Mm-hmm.
Ridley is a good one.
Getting Calvin Ridley back on his team is good for him. So
That's right. That's right.
he traded him to me, and then he, didn't do much these last 2 years.
He's rebuilding his old roster because he got Derrick Henry back after Derrick Henry, I think he had and gave to you and then gave to me, and I sent him on back, and he's just getting the boys back together over there.
That's right.
Another trade between Tyler and Jordan. We had Jamal Williams going to Tyler in exchange for the Philly defense and then a third next year and a fourth in 2024 going Jordan's way. So this one is interesting, and I like it. And I like it because I think I mentioned on the last episode that if you take a look at the Philly defense, which has been fantastic, they've been doing very good things. It's a defense you wanted to go and get because their schedule is looking real good. And I was trying to pull it up, but I cannot find them. But the Phillies defensive schedule looks really good, so Jordan can just lock them in as his defense, and it's going to be a good start for a long time. Gets a few picks, but also Tyler has been very, very thin at running back, and Jamal Williams has shown that he's not just like a backup to DeAndre Swift, who Tyler has. He also like will contribute and get touches. So, like, he can slot him in when he needs to. And if DeAndre Swift goes down, we know that Jamal Williams is very valuable. So it was a good trade in my eyes. I think it made sense.
Right, I think so too. I mean, it shores up. He's got the handcuff now to Swift, and also he could flex Jamal Williams on any given Sunday. The Philadelphia Eagles have Washington. Whom are they playing now?
They're playing Houston right now, but they got Washington and then Washington.
Yeah, that's right. They have Washington, then Indianapolis, then Green Bay, then Tennessee, then the Giants, the Bears. Yeah, so I mean, it's looking
basically
pretty
like the
decent.
only one that's iffy there is like maybe Tennessee. Like, I'm not afraid of Green Bay.
Right.
Honestly, and I'm wearing a sweatshirt here. Yeah. So, yeah, I like it. And it's a good move for Jordan to kind of, make his team a little bit better. And he's very much so still in it at 4-4. So I like it for this year. And then the last trade to talk about, Ethan making an exchange with Michael. Michael acquires Isaiah Pacheco and TJ Hawkinson, the newly traded in real life, real football from Detroit to Minnesota, makes a move from Michael's team to Ethan's team over here in the Game of Thrones Dynasty League. What did you think about this one?
I think it's good. Michael Tweeten, obviously, he needs running back depth. Pacheco looks good for the future. He has Clyde, so if there's a shift in the guard, he has Pacheco now. Clyde is kind of touchdown dependent at the moment right now. Kind of been all year. So he could flex Clyde, but I think Pacheco is really good for his future. And then Hawkinson, I don't think like the trade to Minnesota like boosts Hawkinson's value, but I like him in Minnesota. Because I think it makes our team
it boosts
better.
Minnesota. Yeah, no, it definitely does. I think it makes.
But
Minnesota
I don't think it boosts or negate. They're like Hawkinson's value is the same to me, but he's still very good, and I think it was a good trade.
I agree. I liked it. I saw it and I was like, oh, what? And then I thought about it and I was like, you know what? It makes sense. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
So those were the trades, though. And then not a lot of waiver stuff that really popped off at me this week. Tyler outbid me for the Minnesota defense.
Mm-hmm.
Darn you, because I think that's a good start this week against Washington.
Yeah.
That was a good pickup, I thought, but otherwise, there's nothing that really like popped off to me as like huge pickups.
Right. Right.
But there is other things that are huge, and that's the power of our rankings, Phil.
Oh, they're so huge.
So, so big. These are some girthy rankings we got coming your way, and
Absolutely.
we got to work our way from the bottom to the top.
That's right.
Just
From the
can't right
bottom.
now.
It gets bigger as you go up. And at the bottom right now, at number 10 consensus, we have Tyler.
We do. Staying strong down there.
Right. And I think it's due to his record right now, right? He had a bunch of players out in the beginning of the season. He's not out of it because he's only 3 games behind the entire league, basically, because everybody's 4-4. So he can still climb up, and he's got a shot to make the playoffs. I don't foresee it, but
Right.
but his team looks better than it has in the beginning of the year. But still at number 10 because of that beginning of the year record.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you mentioned the record means we should call something out quick here of like the way we are doing the power rankings, right? Is it's not just like which roster do we like best. We are also factoring in what is somebody's record right now, because the idea of the power rankings is who's going to win the championship.
Mm-hmm.
And well, if you're sitting at 6-2, even if we don't like your roster, you're 6-2. You're probably like you got a really good advantage at getting into the playoffs, and that's what you got to do to win a championship, right? So, or
Right.
if you're sitting on some L's, it's going to be tougher. So, record certainly matters as part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, the team sitting in 9th place in the league, sitting at 9th place in the power rankings. Cole, staying right where he was from week 4. And I think the thing of this was like Cole's team can really boom when it goes, right? So like I was taking a look because I couldn't decide on basically the entire like there's like a top and a bottom to me, and then everything else in between is just like where you're going to slot them in. Cole's team, the big thing to me was like it lacks some depth, and but when it pops, and I feel like he's like 1 or 2 starters short of like a consistent, like solid, like this is my starting lineup. But
Yeah.
when it goes off, Josh Allen, Derrick Henry, Gabe Davis, George Kittle, like every single one of those guys can just go nuts, and then like they can all go nuts at the same time, and then like he has a massive game. So like this is a team that is by no means like bad. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right, exactly. Yeah, he sits at 9, but like he's a game behind the entire almost everybody in the league. So
Right.
and there's 6 people out of 10 that are sitting at 4-4. If he wins this next game, multiple people at 4-4 are going to lose. So he's right back in it. So yeah, I think the 1 and the 10 spot were my easiest, and then 2 through 9. I mean, I could throw them into a bag and pick their names out and see. But
Seriously.
but I didn't do that. I didn't. So these are the actual ones that I
Yeah,
like.
we did think these through, and so these Cole did give us his rankings also. So this is the consensus of the 3 of us. but we're all unanimous on these first three. We all had them ranked exactly the same. And unfortunately, number 8 is it's a rough fall from the top, but Jordan coming from number 1 in week 4, we felt falling down to number 8 in week 8 here, with him going on a 4-game losing streak.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we were talking about this beforehand, and I'll let you talk to it, but those wide receivers are really kind of what sticks out, right?
Right. Yeah. So at the beginning of the year, I mean, even like preseason, we were like, there's a bunch of question marks, right? Christian Kirk, who is he? Is Mooney going to be good? Is London going to be good? Sutton, and we thought like the first 4 games, yeah, they're good. Christian Kirk looks like the number 1 receiver, and he's like Drake London had flashes, and now the last 4 games they just have kind of fallen, and with that fall comes Rasky's fall down the rankings until, I mean, not that they can't put up points anymore. It's just that they're not doing it. They're not doing it consistently. So he still has an amazing team. It's just those receivers don't care. They don't care.
No, I agree, and it'd be another thing too. Like, this team is so young, and I think looks so good for the future. Like, if we're doing like 4 projection like rosters that we like I like this one a lot. It's just yeah, still question marks right now at this point in this season. And now is when it kind of starts to get all garbled, right? And I don't think we had like a unanimous pick any of the rest of the way here. Everybody was all over the place. So coming in the 7th spot, dropping 2 spots from where he was in week 5 is Ethan, or in week 4 is Ethan, who was at the 5 spot, falls down to our 7th spot. And this one is tough, right? Because
I hate this, right?
I hate it. I hate it so much. I had him at 7, Cole at 5, you put him at 6.
But I don't.
And I want to call this out.
I want to change
right?
my mind.
No. I want to call out, like, okay, this is who we think is going to win the championship right now in week 8, right? So part of that is like continuing to win, your team staying healthy, making it into the playoffs, getting to the championship. If you were to tell me which one team, when they are healthy, is going to win a game, I would say Ethan's team, right? Like, this starting lineup is unreal, and it's been so good. But you look at the rest of the roster, and I was looking at it, and this is why it was 7 to me. Ethan's starting lineup is incredible. But you go and you take a peek at the rest of the bench, and honestly, like, I'm sorry, but I don't know if there's a single other player besides at the tight end that I would want to play in one of my starting lineups right now, right?
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. Dobbins looked good, and then he went on IR. That really sucks for him. Hubbard.
Penny, too.
Penny, exactly. Yeah. Penny went on IR as well. Hubbard, who knows? Maybe he'll get some work, but I don't want to play him. Yeah, I mean, it's tough, but when you get past that bench and you look up there, it's just hard to put him at this spot. I don't think he deserves this.
I don't either, but here we are. And I guess it depends on how Miami rolls, right? There's a lot of volatility in this, right? If Miami has a down week, he's going to lose, probably, right? So
it really depends on how that Miami offense does.
Which you guys said that last year. I said, "Oh, that's terrible." This year, looking pretty solid.
That's right.
But that lack of depth lands it at 7 for now. And like I said, we'll see as the season goes on what happens. Other people can fall and mess up and everything here too. But our 6th spot, rising 1 spot from where he was at in week 4, is Joe. Climbing up to the number 6 spot. You had him at 7. Cole had him at 6. And I had him at 4. I think this team is pretty good, but what did you see in it?
Honestly, I see 5 teams at number 4, Nick. So
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't see anything bad here, right? He scored 174 points last week. There's no reason he should be this low. I don't have anything bad to say about his team. I mean, there's been some volatility with, like McLaurin having some off games, but still looks good. Godwin looks back, but he's not. I mean, he's putting up 8, 9, 10 points. AJ Brown, just a measly 36 points. His team looks good. There's no reason he doesn't win this year. The bench looks a little bit less good. Michael Thomas went on IR.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a lot of young players that are, Elijah Moore, Terrace Marshall, Claypool, younger, that I don't want to play. Madison, Rashad White, Isaiah Spiller. But then his team's great. His team's great, Nick.
It is. It's really good. And that was kind of my thing too. I really love this starting lineup, and then he's all the way up in my 4 spot because at first I was like, okay, one of his running back goes down, he's in trouble. But it's not necessarily true, I don't think, because if Dalvin goes down, he's got Madison. If ETN goes down, you're probably slotting Pollard in there, and I mean, we all saw what Pollard could do last week. Like, he can absolutely go off, and they say we're going to go as Zeke goes, but
Jerry.
Yeah, I mean, sure, maybe Zeke is still going to get 10, 12 touches a game, but maybe Pollard is sitting there too, and Pollard with 10 to 12 touches a game is absolutely reasonable to be like a running back too. So he's got more depth than I initially thought. So that's why he's all the way up at 4 to me. Like, I think this team can keep on winning.
I agree.
Number 5 for us, falling down 1 spot, is Michael Tweet. And this one, this is wild too.
The number 2 player, who is only 6 points behind the leader, who is 2 games ahead of the pack, is sitting at number 5. Why is that, Nick?
You tell me. I've got him at 3. You explain to me.
I have him at 4.
You do. So Cole has him at 7, which is
bringing him down. He's disrespecting Michael. I understand where Cole's coming from, though. It's his depth on his team. On the guys on his bench, I don't want to play. When his team, it's another team that, when this healthy, it's amazing with McCaffrey, Jefferson, Jamar Chase, who is not healthy. When those guys are healthy, he'll win. Like, you could just put those 3 guys out there and win a game,
Yeah.
I think the trade from the Panthers to San Francisco for McCaffrey was good for him because he had Foreman on his team. That opens up another startable position at the running back position. So
that's massive.
That was good. Edwards-Helaire, again, touchdown dependent, I would say, but flexible. With Pacheco now, maybe he starts rolling and gets better. But, Chase is down for how many weeks? 4, 5 more weeks?
I think it was supposed to be like 4 to 6, but they didn't put him on IR just in case he can come back earlier, right? So it's kind of like any time. Who knows?
Right. Yeah, so Chase going down, Brees Hall going down earlier, that hurts a lot. That hurts his team a lot, but he can still put up points with what he has, and he's 2 games ahead, so if he loses 1 or 2 games, he's still comfortably in the lead with more points. Now, the other 3, like you, Ben, and Ethan, are all sitting around 980 points for, so not far behind. So anything can happen. He can drop really far really quick, but at the moment he's 2 games ahead and he has more points, so I put him at 4 because I think he'll make the playoffs at least.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's what
why
you
I put
gotta
him
do.
at 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
You make the playoffs and you got a chance at the championship. I couldn't get him anywhere below 4, and honestly, I liked him at 3. Like it's like he's in a good spot, and
It's just the odds, right? Like,
yeah,
obviously he could go on a 4-game losing streak and go all the, like, just descend, but I'm not projecting him. Now he faces Tyler this week, who he can beat, but then he faces Ethan, and then he faces me, so maybe he does lose those things, but he obviously anything can happen.
anything can happen. We've got 7 more games, 6 more games, like 7 more games until playoffs. Right? So there's a lot to go here still. Now that was 5. I'm sitting at 4, which is fun.
That is fun.
I'm moving up 2 spots from week 4, climbing up to the 4th spot. And the big thing here is Cole loves my team. I don't know. Loves your Cole's team. Got me at 1. So, I don't know. I've been having you talk a lot here, but I don't want to talk about my team. So
that's fair.
You let me know what's going on here.
So Cole has you at 1. I have you at 5, right? Yeah. You have you at 6. So I'll talk for Cole in what I think he's thinking. I could be completely wrong, right? He's looking into the future. There's 7 games. He projects that you'll win a bunch of games coming up. And looking at your team, that's not a bad projection. Kamara is looking like Kamara of old. Josh Jacobs is having a resurgence kind of a year with high scoring, 30-point games. And maybe Cole, giving you Amon-Ra St. Brown and Singletary is just helping his power rankings out. But who knows? But yeah, you have a good roster. Kenneth Walker, obviously, doing great things. You have a really, really good roster, a bunch of depth. You can handle some injuries. You're good to go. You're obviously, I think, I have you at 5, but I think
it's hard. Right?
I think you'll make the playoffs.
There's a lot of
I don't know.
good teams.
Yeah.
I hope I do.
Yeah.
This is a big week. Like this matchup right now between Ben and I is a big game right now. Where we got 3 in the 4 spot, and I think that's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But yeah, it's all about just continuing to piece some wins together. Just climb it back from 0-3. So I'm happy about that. We're doing some work here over here at the Sir Davos squad, but another team doing some work, sitting at 4-4, just like most of you out there, is Tanner, and he is at our 3rd position, up 4 spots from week 4, climbing up to number 3. He currently sits in 6th place,
Yep.
just due to the tie breaking of points. But I'll talk to this team for a second, right? So Tanner's team, I've thought from the start of the year, is just like super deep, and I think right now that's really going to matter as the season goes on. More and more of these injuries start to pile on, and the big thing that I think really pushed it for me was him making the trade to kind of go for it this year, right? Of going and getting Jalen Hurts, which is huge, right? Like Jalen Hurts can absolutely go off. He was struggling at the quarterback position, and that just solidifies it. I don't know what it is about PJ Walker, but apparently you need PJ Walker to make DJ Moore good. I don't know, but
Seems that way.
it seems like it, right? And then obviously when healthy, his running backs are stacked with Saquon and Jonathan Taylor, and he's got the Montgomery Herbert thing going on. If Taylor goes down, he's got Deion Jackson. So like even injuries, he can kind of weather that storm, especially at the running back spot. And you know, his receivers are deep too, like CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Ayuk. Hurts that Bateman's out for the year. You know, but he's at least got like a good 4, you know, to like 4.5, I would say, like receiver rotation of like Olave, DJ Moore, all of them. So yeah, he's in a good spot, and who knows if he really wants to go for it. We got one more week where we can make some trades too, so we'll see what happens.
That's right.
But I really like his team. I've kind of felt
too.
that from the start. He's my 2. Let's just kind of break these out. He's my 2, your 3, Cole's 4. So we all had him up there pretty high. And the 2 spot is the player ranked or currently sitting at 3rd in the league right now, Ben. He moves up 1. We had him at 3 in week 4. He's now comfortably sitting at 2. He was my 5, but you put him at 2, and Cole had him at 3. So you guys had him up there, and honestly, I have no argument against this, but you put him at 2. What are you loving here?
So I'll do one thing. I'll say what I'm concerned about. The only concern I have with his team is that running back position. He has Aaron Jones and Chubb, who are phenomenal. Then he's got Connor coming back, where is going to be serviceable. He's got Kenyon Drake, Damian Harris, both can do things. Apparently, Kenneth Gainwell can still score touchdowns because he's got one.
Yeah, we're seeing that
tonight.
right now. Yep.
Unfortunately, he's on his bench right now, but so that kind of it is a little bit concerning. But the Burrow T. Higgins stack has been lovely all year, and now that chases out, it's lovelier. The Stephon Diggs, obviously the number 1 receiver on the year. He can't
I believe he still is.
do bad.
Yes.
He's number 1 standard,
2
number
in
2
PPR.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might be 1 or 2.
Yeah, so still amazing. And I don't know. I have good vibes about his team, right? I think he's going on. I think you'll see him on a win streak here. Unfortunately, against you.
Starting next week, I agree.
Starting next week, he'll be on a win streak. I can get down with that. But I really like his team. I do have a little bit of concern, but I think he can weather the storm.
I think so too. And another thing is I think he can be even better at tight end here. Of like, tight end has been his weakness through the season. And I think with Dak back, Dalton Schultz has a chance to become pretty solid again. And Darren Waller has been kind of hurt really throughout kind of the whole season and can come back, and you like that more than Tanyan. So I think honestly he can upgrade at that position throughout the year, and yeah, I think his team is really good.
And Jacoby Myers is quietly awesome this year.
Is.
So I like his team.
I do. But another team that I like a lot is sitting at number 1. You, man in the ivory tower, sitting up there staring down at the rest of us. Your team's stacked, and you had a bipocalypse last week, but I mean, let's just run this down. Pat Mahomes, Austin Eckler, Joe Mixon, Devontae Adams, Juju, Pittman, Kelsey, Thielen is your starting lineup, which is just like ridiculous. When healthy, Mike Williams is in there instead. I mean,
yeah, Mike Williams going down is kind of hurtful. Gibson looks like he might be able to be started again. Who knows?
He's looking like it. Yeah.
I don't know why I'm starting Juju. Talk me out of it, Nick.
I mean, I would start Duvernay, but that's just me.
See, now that Bateman's out, I'm going to start Duvernay over someone. I don't know if it's Juju or Thielen. Or Pittman.
Yeah, that's fair. Pittman's scary right now.
He's very scary.
A little bit.
I'm concerned for my team. The only reason I have myself at number 1 is my record and my points for. If I was in the pack of 4-4, I would not have myself at 1. Because I think there's better teams out there that can win. But we'll see.
Yeah, the Pittman part's like a little bit scary.
Mm-hmm.
Or a lot of it. I don't know. But Williams will come back. I still like this team.
I think it'll be fine.
Like, here's the thing, is like all of your players on your bench, like, yes, they are not consistent. And I'm talking about the wide receiver spots here of like Hardman, Judy, Hamler, Duvernay, Wandale.
Mm-hmm.
But also, if you're in a situation where you're being forced to play them, like, if you're going to a backup, you don't want a backup that's going to get you like 6 points. You want a guy that's like, maybe he gets you 4 or maybe he gets you 20, because those guys can all just absolutely go off. So like, it's fine.
Yeah, I feel good now, but in 4 weeks I might not.
We'll see.
We'll see.
You might maybe you're on a slide now. Had that first loss in a while, and we'll see what happens. But those are the power rankings after week 8. This is who we think has the best chances based on their rosters, based on the record of getting to that championship. And let's just run back. We got from the number 10 spot, Tyler, 9 Cole, 8 Jordan, 7 Ethan, 6 Joe, 5 Michael, 4 Nick, 3 Tanner, 2 Ben, and number 1, the co-host of the most, Phil, up on top. Right. And that's the power rankings. We'll get back to it in week 12, and we'll see what it's like. We'll have a who knows. I'd like to say we'll have a clear picture of the playoffs, but
right. I think week 10 will be completely different, but I thought week 8 would be completely different, but everybody's just like, no, we'll just stick together.
Yeah.
We'll just muddy the waters. We'll just
I love
it,
though.
On you.
It keeps it very exciting.
It does.
This is the sign of like a healthy league, though, right? Like when everybody's competitive, that's a good thing. So I love it. We're going to do, as always, the pizza party, but you did not fill out a pizza party lineup, and I don't want to That's the biggest bungle.
That is the
right
biggest
now.
bungle. I've been traveling for work. I had long days. I wasn't looking at my phone. That's my bad. That's my bad.
I get it. That's okay. Recap
I can
last
buy
week.
the pizza.
I lost last week, so I owe Jordan a pizza at some point. so he will be getting a pizza because Jordan won. And I guess, Jordan, Cole, and I will be competing for a pizza this week. I have Miles Sanders
and I will be paying for the pizza.
Okay. All right. So we're just trying to win over here now. So I like it. Okay. That sounds good. And quick preview of the week. Let's just do a quick rundown here of what's coming. What are the big matchups? And I'll just call them out.
Yep.
Big matchup, 4-4, number 4 team versus number 3 team. Me versus Ben. 115 to 120 projection in Ben's favor, and this is going to be a close one. I'm kind of on my little bit of bipocalypse, but Ben's got some guys out too, so I can't really take that against him, right? So we're all dealing with buys right now. He's got a little edge, but we'll see what happens. Jordan is going up against Joe. We've got a little preview at this one. Both guys are going here. It's projected to be very tight, 115 to 113 in favor of Joe. 2 4-4 teams here as well, battling it out. Jordan's got Miles Sanders off to a nice start with 11 points in the first half of this game. Joe's seeing what he's going to get out of A.J. Brown, Goddard, and Devontae Smith.
He's
all
focusing on the Eagles there.
All going on the Eagles. Hey, I get it. Against Houston, that's
absolutely
not a bad move. So we'll see how that shakes out. We might have a little clearer picture after tonight of maybe what could come from that one. Tyler taking on Michael. Are you ready for some football? Are you? Yeah, I'm going to say it every time. Are you ready for some football?
That's fine. Do it.
And this could be a Tyler W. Michael's got a little bit of a bipocalypse going on here. Got a few guys out, with Chase being out and McCaffrey on bye.
McCaffrey. Yep.
Yeah.
Those are the two big ones.
Put in people Jones. Yeah. So he's sitting on a little bit of in a vulnerable spot. So this could be an L for him. Tyler is projected to win this one, so we'll see how that goes. And Cole going up against Ethan, natural born Kyler, and 122 to 112 projection in favor of Ethan. And I'm going to lean Ethan's way because, as I said, when this team's healthy, I just think it can absolutely go off, and there's no reason to think that that's not going to happen this week. So,
yep,
that's what I'm thinking on that one. And how do you feel about your matchup? You're heavily favored. You feeling good? 135
I feel
to 98
good. Everybody's back. I am concerned a little bit about Austin Eckler showing up on the injury report. That's very concerning to me. For long term, not just for this week. But I'm feeling good about this week so far. I should come out with a win.
I agree. And as one of the 4-4 teams, I appreciate it if you could take Tanner down and keep him a little further away from me. I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he has like CeeDee Lamb, Ayuk, Saquon on a bye, so he's kind of. I had my apocalypse last week. He's kind of on it this week, so it's helpful for me.
Yeah. And we all kind of run into him at some point, but it's brutal when you do. But you know what else is brutal, Phil?
What's brutal?
That the show has to come to an end.
Does it
coming
really?
to an end. It does. We're closing it out. This is the Bog and Smog Fantasy Cast closing out Week 9 Power Rankings. Tune in next time, guys. Signing off.
See ya.